Hi, my name is Hello, and I like to speak a little bit about what's on my mind right now. Goes along the lines of kind of proving, not necessarily trying to prove, because I don't care. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm trying to throw the option out there. Maybe your mind can wrap around the truth. Maybe it can't. So here's another thing. Like the company, so when Eliah is taken up to heaven, and a company of prophets are watching this, and Elisha is watching this. And Elisha saw this and cried out, my father, the chariots and horsemen of Israel. Israel. And Elisha saw him no more. Then took hold of the garment that Elisha was wearing and tore it in two. Elisha then picked up Eliah's cloak that had fallen from him and went back and stood on the bank of the Jordan. Took the cloak that had fallen from Eliah and struck the water with it. Where now is Yah, the El of Eliah? Where now is the Lord, the God of Eliah? That's what Elisha asked. When Elisha struck the water, it divided to the right and to the left, and Elisha crossed over. The company of the prophets from Jericho who were watching said, the spirit of Eliah is resting on Elisha. And then in the very next sentence, and they went to meet Elisha and bowed to the ground before Elisha. Look, they said, we your servants have 50 able men. Let them go and look for your master. Perhaps the Spirit of the Lord has picked him up and set him down on some mountain or some valley. Well, they just said that the spirit of Eliah is resting on Elisha. So why would you go looking for Eliah if you just seen the spirit is resting on Elisha? That's another thing that these writers are trying to, I don't know which side the camera's on, I think that side. That's another thing these writers are trying to slip these truths in underneath the people that are in charge. They're trying to, and I want you to understand something that I said about the last video was talking about the 50 prophets in each cave, 100 prophets, 50 in each cave that Obadiah had hidden away, and that Eliah fried. Let's see right here. Eliah answered the captain, if I am a man of God, may fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50 men. Then fire fell from heaven and consumed the captain and his 50 men. So that happened twice. 2 captains, 100 men. And that's exactly, you got Eliah and Obadiah, and then 100 men that no one knows about yet. You see, and what's not written is, this is the king wanting to go and speak to Eliah. At first, he's really forceful about it. And then the next thing you know, he's like, what? He fried, and he's probably pretty close to these guys. Fried my favorite captain, my best guy. I said to talk to him. Did it again. And then, the third guy that he sent was like really, please spare my life, was begging. So, Eliah had some pull after that. And I'm guessing that's probably one of the things after he, told the king that he's about to fucking die. And he didn't have a king he had no son, so there was nobody to succeed him as king. So Eliah probably has a pull about this time because he just slaughtered all the prophets of Baal, all the prophets of Asherah, or whatever, whoever these prophets were. There are all these false prophets, 850 plus. There's probably others that got slaughtered along with it, people that are close to them, family members, stuff like that. So that's where I'm trying to tell you guys that them 100 prophets of Yah slipped in through there, as Obadiah and Eliah, or at least Obadiah, we know probably had some pull because he was working with King Ahab and was working with Jezebel, and so I'm sure they was incorporating some scribes in here so some of us could read through these lines and what they're trying to say. And there's no way they would accept a female prophet back in the day. She would be considered a witch, and that's exactly what happened. Was because I just read it. The company of prophets. After Elisha saw this and cried out, "My father, my father," and then took hold of her garments and tore it in two. She was standing there naked when it crossed, and then everybody's saying that this is a female. I'm not sure whether they knew that before or not. I'm not sure the prophets knew this or not. Might only have been Eliah and Elisha that knew. I don't know. I really don't know. But I'm guessing the angels and the prophets probably work with angels, and they probably have an assumption or a feeling anyway. But anyway, so they would have had to keep this a secret. They would have had to keep this a secret because the things that Elisha was doing, if you read after Eliah goes to heaven, Elisha was performing all these crazy miracles, the same kind of miracles that are attributed to the Christ. And, exactly, a lot of them. And, and that would, if she would be found out, which, is times will catch up to you eventually. Somebody's going to find out that shouldn't. And, accusations of being a witch. Not that stuff's written about, because like I said, that stuff was all covered up. It had to be. And the story was stolen, and it's your modern day Jesus Christ story that there's not even talked about at all in the Old Testament. If the Old Testament and the Old Testament prophets have anything to say, they would have mentioned the name Jesus. I would think that would be like one of their top priorities, especially if that's the name above all names that they didn't even call out to in all the Old Testament. So I'm not really sure, how that doesn't, how more Christians can't think for themselves because they're under a spell, I guess. But if there isn't nobody and there's all these godly people in the Old Testament and none of them are praying to Jesus, that's not even a little bit weird that nobody in the Old Testament prayed to Jesus, but they all had like these really godly experiences. That's weird to me. I think I was wanting to make some other points. I can't really remember what they are this second, but that was a little bit more of what I want to talk about. I think, and also one thing that I want to talk about, I think the Spirit was resting in Elisha. I think they could see the Spirit inside of Elisha somehow. I've been able to see spirits inside of people, and also spirits can rest onto people. I can't see how long I got there. Spirits can also latch onto people. Like a spirit will try to possess you, and 9 times out of 10 you've invited that spirit in, aka inviting the dead man named Jesus, the spirit, into your heart. That's terrible to do. Never do that. But spirits can latch onto you, and they can affect parts of your body. They can, but your guardian angels, as long as you're staying inside of God's will keep you protected from them getting inside of you. They can't affect you still because they have a job to do, but they'll leave you eventually. But it's been my experience that anybody that invites any dead spirit into their heart, regardless of what the name is, that's a horrible idea, and you don't understand how ungodly that is. God doesn't need an invitation, and God is already inside of you. And the way to find God is to look inside of you. And all these worldly distractions keep you from God. I mean, I know because I'm away from God more now than when my house was empty, because I was seeking God all the time. Not that I'm not now. I'm seeking God's will, but more of in a selfish way, trying to work on myself. And when you're in the world, it's hard to be super spiritual all the time because you're not in a spiritual dimension. I mean, not that you're not. I mean, the Spirit's always all around you all the time, all kinds of them, in a way they can manifest in ways you don't even think of. And anyway, there's some other things I probably wanted to touch on here. I can't really remember what they are, but there's just, to me, the writers are writing so that you can try to figure out things for yourself. I think God tests you, and I think there's more tests in here than people will give it credit. And I think I want to say it again, that female aspect of God, I think I think it's been forgotten in this day and age. And quite frankly, there's some truth in here and there's some fiction in here. But for me, I can only say for me, is there's this surah in the Quran. It says that Allah and Gabriel and the angels will be your protectors, and the righteous and the believers, and all the people that have died and have, there's all I can say is that verse is true for me. Allah and the angels have made a presence in my life, and I don't even know what else I want to say, but that for me, I think I'm just going to have to make another video because I don't think I got out everything I wanted to say. But I really think, like, if you understand, like, the battle that's going on that's not written about in here, evil kings and God's prophets trying to, keep God in the world and godly things and godly people inside the world. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when your leaders are all corrupt. So anyway, I'm going to try to make another video here in a little bit when I think about it. All right, see ya.